All right, Jonathan Doers lining up to kick the field goal here. That could potentially win the game for Notre Dame. It's tied 38-38, so overtime, first overtime. Let's see what happens here. Kicks up, and it's good. Notre Dame's going to win the football game. Not gonna lie, I kind of wanted to go double overtime there. Really, I wanted to see what Florida State could do. Obviously, you feel really bad for Fitzgerald, the Florida State kicker. He misses I wouldn't call it chip shot. There's no such thing as really chip shots in college football in terms of field goals. Kickers just are not the same level as they are in the NFL. You expect an NFL kicker to make a 30-yard field goal or 35-yard field goal. You don't expect that necessarily from a college kicker. But Fitzgerald was the one who got them to overtime to begin with, though. So people better not be disrespecting him, better not be sending him hate or anything like that, because he was the one who made it possible for them to get to overtime in the first place. By hitting a longer kick than the one he actually missed in overtime. And frankly, the coaching staff, if Norvell doesn't call a timeout there to get the review, he made the kick. He basically iced his own kicker. I don't really know if icing a kicker actually works or not. But Fitzgerald made the kick after Norvell called a timeout from a longer distance than the one he ended up missing. So I don't know. It's just that's gotta hurt for Florida State. Sure, right there. I'm sure McKenzie Milton's not going to like that last play he had there in overtime, where it ends up being an incomplete pass, but it's basically sort of a wasted play. He never really got an opportunity to actually make something out of that play. The blitz was coming. He was trying to pump fake to maybe throw the ball, maybe just kind of draw the defender into the air, whatnot. The ball ends up on the ground. It's an incomplete pass. And then, of course, miss kick. The game goes on and just ends from there. Big takeaways from this game? Jack Coan is pretty legit. I mean, I was really doubtful of him going into the game because he is a Wisconsin transfer at quarterback. And if you know Wisconsin's history at quarterback outside of someone like Russell Wilson, it's just not very good. So I was very doubtful of Jack Coan. He goes out there and sets a record for passing yards in the season opener in Notre Dame history with 366 yards, 26 for 35, looks like 26 for 35, 366 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. That interception really shouldn't even count. It was a Hail Mary heave at the end of regulation. So really, about as close to a flawless night as you can expect from Jack Coan. And the offense was clearly running well. 41 yards. They weren't running the ball well, though. Kyren Williams only averaged 2.3 yards per carry. Of course, they made up for it in the passing game. Michael Mayer is going to be a phenomenal NFL prospect when he gets ready to go out into the NFL draft. After next college season, Kyren Williams showing why he's going to be probably one of the top 3 running backs taken in this year's coming draft. Didn't run the ball very well. Had 6 catches for 83 yards and a touchdown. So you have to respect him in multiple facets of the game. Kyle Hamilton with some insane interceptions. One, of course, where he ran all the way across the field. That's going to be replayed over and over again until basically he makes it to the NFL. It's going to be played before the draft next year. It's going to be played in the preseason next year for the NFL. It's going to go constantly over and over again. Notre Dame's still a good team. They're not as good as I thought they would be. Well, I don't know if I should say that. Jack Coan is better than I expected. The rest of the team is not as good as I expected. I'll put it that way. Notre Dame is ranked 9th in the nation right now, and Florida State pushed them to overtime. Granted, it was obviously a very emotional night for Florida State. They were riding a huge emotional high towards the end of the game. But Notre Dame had a big lead going into the fourth quarter, and then Florida State has 18 unanswered points in the fourth quarter. That just puts them right back into the matchup. Like I said, I almost turned the game off going into the fourth quarter because I was about ready to be done for the night. And then, of course, Florida State comes roaring back and turns into one of the premier matchups, one of the best matchups of week 1. It was phenomenal. But Jordan Travis, the takeaways here, Norvell is he's going to have a decision here. McKenzie Milton, yes, he brought the momentum into the game. He had that one unfortunate play in overtime. 5 or 7 for 48 yards versus Jordan Travis, who's younger, going to have more eligibility left. 9 for 19, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And then, of course, your running game was phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Jason Corbin, 15 carries for 144 yards and a touchdown. Treshaun Ward, 11 carries, 76 yards and a touchdown. I did not expect the offensive line to get this many openings in the running game for Florida State. I did not expect that of the offensive line. It was great. They accomplished quite a bit, actually, for what I wasn't giving them the credit apparently they deserved. They did a really good job at opening holes for the running game. my issue is McKenzie Milton to me, yes, he's older, and if you bench Jordan Travis permanently, you risk losing an investment in a younger player, or maybe denting his confidence, not getting as much experience as you want to. McKenzie Milton, in just the small sample size result today, was more willing to use his legs and run, and looked much more smooth being able to run with the ball than Jordan Travis did. Was more ready to ad-lib plays and create things out of nothing. And just frankly, he made bigger throws more consistently. And granted, it was one quarter, not even a full quarter. But he still looked more consistent and got the ball downfield into better locations than what Jordan Travis did through most of the night. And Travis threw 3 interceptions. And it's going to be a tough decision for Norvell. And I say, and if I was making the decision, I would go with McKenzie. Granted, I'm already admitting I'm biased towards him. I'm biased to good stories. I love good stories in football. I love good stories in sports in general. So I am biased towards McKenzie. And most of the country's probably going to be too. Which is unfortunate for Jordan Travis because you have to deal with the backlash of that. Unfortunately, and it's got nothing to do with him. It's not his fault whatsoever. He just seems to be going up against the Cinderella story everyone wants to see happen. But I mean, after tonight, it was not a great performance from Jordan Travis. It just wasn't. And a lot of people expected McKenzie to be the one starting tonight. And a lot of people were upset when he wasn't. You know, they're going to go in, and this is a full-blown quarterback competition now. But I think you gotta pick one eventually. You just gotta do it for Florida State. And you have a chance here. If you can put up you can play like this every game, you're gonna have a good season. If you're Florida State, you have a legit chance of having a really good season. But you can't be flip-flopping back and forth in quarterbacks. I've seen that happen before. It just usually doesn't work. So you're going to have to make a decision here. And McKenzie Milton, you know, maybe he's not the one you want to be playing if you're Florida State. Maybe you don't even have a preference to the coaching staff. Maybe you don't have one at all. But Milton looks like the guy right now. In very limited sample size, he had the energy, he had the fire, he was more accurate, he was going downfield, he was trying things that Travis either wasn't trying or just wasn't being able to complete most of the game. And again, granted, it's a very small sample size. Things could change drastically here. But the early takeaways from this game, just in general, Cone, much better than I expected. Florida State has a serious quarterback competition. And Kyle Hamilton is probably going to be the best prospect in the 2022 NFL Draft. Kyron Williams is going to be a top 3 running back in the draft, or at least should be, based on his ability to just do everything you can ask of him. And Florida State has a better running game than I expected. So just a lot to take away from a fantastic football game that ends in overtime. Florida State, Notre Dame making a field goal to end the game. What a great way to close the first week of college football. That was phenomenal. Much better than I expected. And again, I'm so glad I didn't go to bed at the start of the fourth quarter. That was a great game. But for now, guys, now I am going to bed. I'm tired. I got work tomorrow. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.